Welcome to the Manhattan Project. This is day 29. Oh my goodness, we're almost at three hand fist. So last night, Dorota and I watched The Layover, the second feature film from director William H. Macy, starring Kate Upton and Alexandra Daddario. Take a look. So The Layover is not in a movie theater, it's actually at home on the video on demand on the Xbox. Do you know you can rent movies on Xbox? Because you can. Sorry about that. So this R-rated comedy follows two roommate, kind of like late 20 girls that are both struggling financially and socially in their lives. They decide to take a trip to Fort Lauderdale, Florida from Seattle, and are stuck, unfortunately, on a long layover thanks to a hurricane that's brewing around Florida. Kind of funny that this movie was actually released the weekend of Hurricane Harvey. But anyway, the premise basically follows them both trying to hook up with the same guy during that layover. Funny antics and shenanigans ensue. Take a look at the trailer.
Our lives, we're screwed up, but I have a solution. Okay. We're going to Florida. It's gonna be so much fun.
I think I'm in the middle there.
Ooh.
Hurricane Cindy has taken a bit of a turn at redirecting us.
Welcome to the St. Louis Sheraton. I do hope you'll consider yelping us.
Oh,
Since we're gonna be stuck here, you guys want to get a drink later on tonight?
You guys want to dance?
Your boob is hanging out! Meg's an expert at pulling off a dress.
Hey John, what were your expectations of the movie?
So I actually have seen the other William H. Macy directed film. It's called Rudderless, and it stars Billy Crudup and the late Anton Yelchin, rest in peace. And it's a very different pace from this movie. It's a like really melodramatic sort of tragedy drama that takes place after a school shooting, but it's also about music, and it's about like, you know, connecting to the past and facing your demons, the power of music. And it's kind of weird, pretty bad, but like at least has some original things going for it. Some of the music actually is pretty good in it. But either way, it was very odd. It was like interesting. I would never expect this to be what William H. Macy would direct. So going into this movie and seeing the trailer, realizing it was his follow-up, and then it being another thing that is so totally not what I would expect to be William H. Macy's sort of pace, I was kind of interested from at the very least, a morbid fascination. Did not expect it to be great, especially with it obviously not getting a wide release and just being straight to video on demand. But I was at least morbidly curious about why the hell would he be attracted to a project like this. Overall, The Layover is pretty much a failed attempt of miscalculated post-feminism comedy that has its biggest issues lying in the fact that it's a comedy that's not that funny. So before I get into my whole review, I'd like to ask Dorota, what did you think of the movie, Dorota?
It was fine.
Okay, so that's her review. The Layover is fine, but it's mostly less than fine. And when I say post-feminism, I want to be clear here. Usually, if you watch our channel or our other channel, Devil's Advocates, you can probably see that we lean to the left pretty hard. We're a pretty liberal group of folks. And this movie, I think, is at least attempting to be a progressive, liberal, you know, feminist film. And while the premise kind of says it is, I think it's not really, its heart's not really there. It's more just a shitty excuse to get away with a bad script. So there are basically two distinctly different schools of thoughts regarding feminist cinema right now in Hollywood. One is that make a progressive movie that speaks on the troubles of women, have strong female characters overcoming legitimate issues that women specifically face as a gender, and talk about the differences between women and men, discuss feminism as a subject, discuss societal issues, and that's how you make a strong feminist movie in Hollywood, right? You make a movie that's about women dealing with the struggles that are unique to females, like 20th Century Women, an excellent movie, by the way, that also has Billy Crudup in it. Yeah. Then the other school of thought is true equality means women can be just as crass as men, right? So the idea is we've sat through decades upon decades of movies where the men are the leads, and we have the chauvinistic male perspective where the man is trying to bang the woman, or the man is tired of the woman being annoying, or the man this, and that. It's all from male perspective. So now, why not make a movie where it is just like The Hangover, you know, it is just like American Pie or whatever. It is a fairly sexist, singular, point of view movie where you sort of treat the opposite sex or gender with very little respect, but instead just flip the script, right? Have the women be empoweringly just like the men always have been historically, and have the male characters just be really thinly written, have the male characters be shitty, and then we're all equal. It's like equal opportunity exploitation, male eye candy, whatever. I'm not going to say overall which of these two camps I agree with, because it's kind of a touchy, difficult issue. I think there are a time and place for both types of like feminist film. This movie obviously falls into the second camp, but I think it's like a horrendous failure, because I don't have a problem with them being women being crass, and I don't have a problem with it being a man being an underwritten character. I have a problem with the fact that pretty much all of the characters in this movie are actually pretty lazily written, and all the gags are just fucking atrocious, right? Like, you want to talk about, yes, the man is really broadly written, but Alexandra Daddario as, like, the school teacher, what the hell do we know about her besides the fact that she's a school teacher? And Kate Upton in this movie, like, she sells beauty products, which could be a theoretically funny idea of the fact that she has to deal with all these schemes of, how can she get ahead in selling her products to companies versus, like, bigger companies. Has just, like, import products from companies that we have an embargo with in America and getting away with that. There's kind of, like, that would be, like, a funny, shady thing that, like, the male character would do in an R-rated comedy, and I'm totally into that. But the joke that they do, like the payoff for her failing at her job, it doesn't reveal anything about her as a person, and it's just not funny enough, you know what I mean? And so that's, I guess, my biggest issue with this film. There's potty humor, there's just really obvious gags, and the conclusion is, honestly, pretty fucking sexist. Like, it suddenly loses its entire, like, integrity of, like, well, these females are on the ride with her, and they are who they are, and that's, like, a pretty cool idea, just watching females be obnoxious in a way that you've seen men do in movies. You just literally have them, like, make decisions and act really petty with each other in a way that paints them, again, pretty broadly as just, like, shitty women who do women things, like be catty and be jealous and whatever. So, yeah, the whole thing kind of implodes on itself. I don't know why the hell William H. Macy thought this was a good idea, but overall, the film is like Dorota said, it's just fine. And if so, then why make it? You know what I mean? Like, what is the point of this entire project? It's also just, like, technically pretty not up to snuff. There's a reason why this was straight to DVD. You can tell with the transitions, with some of the sound design, with some of the locations, it's just like the budget does not fit. It doesn't feel like a real movie at times. Sometimes it just feels like under budget. You do have some pretty funny cameos, or at least watchable cameos. You got goddamn Kal Penn shows up out of nowhere now that he's out of the White House. But again, even though I was happy to see faces like that, it's not like they ever made me laugh, and isn't that kind of the biggest issue with the comedy? And so I give points to these performers for going for it. Alexandra Daddario particularly, she really throws herself into the role. There's a lot of physical comedy here, very loud. It's kind of shit where I have not actually seen a woman perform this broadly in a comedy in a while, since, like, Spy, I guess, which I was into. I just wish the material that was written for her was better, because I said she committed well. Kate Upton still has some issues with just, like, basic line delivery, that, like, she's, she was a model, she was never an actress, and now she's kind of an actress and whatever. But some of the scenes I was surprisingly into. Her sort of charisma, the confidence that she exudes is nice. But like I said, neither of those things can make up for the fact that the script just ain't funny. I'm not laughing at all in this movie, and it's supposed to be a comedy, and like I said, it's pretty miscalculated as far as a, like, feminist agenda, even though I would have been into it if it was a successful feminist agenda, which is kind of the funny thing. Anyway, this has been The Manhattan Project. I would say this movie didn't have a score, so I shouldn't wrap up the video yet, but it's like a 1 out of 4, dude. Like, it's not good. Would you agree, Dorota?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. This is The Manhattan Project. We review movies every single day. We had a goal of hitting it for a whole month, so 30 or 31 days, and we are actually about to hit that. So tune in tomorrow for another review, maybe the next day, and then maybe the day after that, but we're going to have to talk about what's going on with this channel. We do like reviewing movies for you guys. We just don't know how long the everyday thing's going to last. Could be a whole year, but you'll see. Tune in for more. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you.